Hi guys, so today I'll be explaining to you about the blood clotting process. So under blood clotting, you have to remember some points that may be even questioned as a part of the essay. So you have to remember the blood clotting process if you consider as a whole. You have to remember the key points of what is a blood clot. And then you have to remember the purpose of blood clotting. And then you have to remember why blood clot does not take place in undamaged blood vessels or undamaged tissues. And then you have to remember the process of blood clotting. And finally, you have to also remember about the anticoagulants. So these will be the key points that you remember under blood clotting. So moving on to the first one, why blood clotting? What is blood clotting? So what happens is when a tissue is damaged, blood will flow from it and it will form a blood clot. So that is how this blood clot comes into play. Secondly, what is the purpose of blood clotting? So purpose of blood clotting is to prevent further blood loss and also to prevent the entry of pathogenic microorganisms which are of clear survival value. Then moving on to the next one, why blood clot does not take place in undamaged tissues, blood vessels. Why doesn't it take place in undamaged blood vessels? Undamaged blood vessels are smooth, so they do not promote platelet aggregation. Therefore, the blood clotting does not take place. Then moving on to the process. So after the process, I can also explain to you about the anticoagulants. So you to remember the process, you have to first remember like a series of events that take place. So firstly, what happens is when a tissue is damaged. So imagine there's a damage in this part of the tissue. So when a tissue is damaged, what happens? The connective tissue is going to be exposed. The connective tissue is going to be exposed when the tissue is damaged. Then what happens? Platelets. Platelets are going to migrate towards the connective tissue and then they are going to release substances. They are going to release substances that make the connective tissue, the platelets, sticky. So these platelets, what are they going to do? These are platelets. Platelets, what are they going to do? They are going to release substances that make the platelets stick together. So the nearby platelets will stick together and they'll make the platelets sticky and this will form a platelet plug. This platelet plug, this is a platelet plug. So this platelet plug is going to provide instant protection against blood loss, but it's not permanent. Then what happens? These platelets are going to release clotting factors. Clotting factors are going to be released by platelets. So clotting factors are not only released by platelets, they're also released by, they're found in plasma. So they are dissolved and you can find platelets, clotting factors such as vitamin K, calcium in plasma, and also undamaged cells, damaged cells are going to also release clotting factors in addition to these platelets. Then you have to remember the clotting factors. What happens to these clotting factors? These clotting factors are going to convert, they are going to convert prothrombin to thrombin. Prothrombin is going to be converted into thrombin due to what? The clotting factors. Then this thrombin is going to be, the activated thrombin is going to convert fibrinogen to fibrin. Fibrinogen is going to be converted to fibrin by the thrombin. Now, this thrombin can also convert, just like how we learned about the activated pepsin is going to convert more pepsinogen to pepsin. Here also the thrombin is going to convert more prothrombin to thrombin. So that's what happens. This is like the final stage. And then what happens? A blood clot is being formed. So now you can see this part. So initially what happens when a tissue is damaged, the connective tissue is exposed, then platelets adhere to the connective tissue and they release substances that make the nearby platelets stick together. And then these are going to produce a platelet plug. This platelet plug is going to provide instant protection against blood loss. Then these platelets are also going to release clotting factors. These clotting factors are not only released by platelets, they're also released by plasma. It contains vitamin K, calcium that are also releasing clotting factors. Then damaged cells are also going to release clotting factors. what is the function of the clotting factors? It's going to convert prothrombin to thrombin. Then thrombin converts fibrinogen to fibrin. Then then the fibrin is going to aggregate into threads. It's going to aggregate into threads that later forms a blood clot. So I think it's better to put this arrow here. Yes. Fibrinogen is going to form threads. They are going to aggregate into threads that forms the blood clot. Now, what is an anticoagulant? So now this is the process that's here. This is the process that's here. And the final part is going to be the anticoagulants. So what happens with the anticoagulants? So anticoagulants are substances that prevent the formation of the conversion of prothrombin to thrombin and fibrinogen to fibrin. So a good example for anticoagulant is going to be heparin. Heparin is a good example of an anticoagulant. So heparin is also used widely as a clinical anticoagulant. So it's used clinically as a good anticoagulant. That's it under blood clotting. You just have to remember what is blood clotting and then the purpose of blood clotting and what happens in undamaged tissues, blood vessels. Here it's better to put undamaged blood vessels. And then the process of blood clotting, and then about the anticoagulants. If you can cover all these topics, then even if it's questioned in an essay, you can remember the whole blood clotting process easily. And the whole process has to be written like, it has to have a flow, and this is how you can explain it very concisely. So that's it for blood clotting. Instead of, trying to mug it off from paras, it's better to go with the flow chart and remember it better. Thank you.